and so on. Hey guys, it's me. It's me. So, the truth. I haven't been up front with you guys. I claim the truth within certain limits, but I haven't been totally upfront on all the ongoings that I understand about these beings. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? To me, it's a good thing. Because I suffer a lot with how dedicated I am to this research and my format of putting it out there. So, with me feeling so dedicated and being so dedicated and so on and so forth, 3 years into this plus time, and huge claims. I think I have bigger claims than every other researcher out there, and by far, I would say. And I'm not downing their claims because I say that. I'm just saying that, we're going about it different ways. And so, in saying that, I haven't been straight up on every part of my conversation all the time. And, I've lost a lot in trying to deal with this subject matter. I've been living for 52, 53, almost 54 years here. So, I've had that, I've had a life, I'm not complaining, but I've had a life where you lose things, like I don't have a wife anymore. So obviously I'm lost a marriage. If you want to look into the detail and understanding of that, I lost a friend, all this kind of stuff. And, I've done other things to lose friends, and I've done other things. I haven't done other things to lose family members. All my things that I ever done, really, my family members, even when I dabbled in religion, trying to figure out stuff like that. Even though I was born into a religious family and such, Christian upbringing and all that, I did my own dabbling. And, as crazy as I went at times, nutty, however other people wanted to perceive me, I felt that, life was just life for me. But all my family and most of my friends and stuff all stuck around. But then I got out of that little religious educating time in my life and fulfilled my education with religion and understanding of it. And then this worked here. I tell you, I kid you not, it relates within the religious teachings and understandings. There's certain aspects of this world we're looking into that goes into these beings, and how you've got to commit a thought there is realize, do you think these beings were here before us or after us? Before us is the answer, and I think most of you will say before us. And where's the religion? Is it happening right now and after us? No, it's before us. So a couple of, let's say 3,000 years ago, just off the top of my head, I don't know, but Moses was out there doing his stuff 3,000 years ago, and he was doing it in mountains and stuff. Do you think to yourself there's no chance that he was getting a related kind of understanding of something going on out there in the lands? Or do you think he wasn't at all? Do you think in a way maybe he was, with his education in life and how we obviously have educated each others. It's obvious that goes on. And so when we look at some of his education, There's glimpses of understanding of light described in the Bible. A burning plant that does not burn. Okay, I'm not going to go any further into that, but I can go much further into that. I can show you detail to make you be able to go in further to that. But right now, I'm not just trying to throw out one story towards a great person, obviously, and I'm not trying to discredit anything. And so that's just a little glimpse of a few thousand years back on a story that you can look into of a burning plant. And so that brings us into the glowing energy, light energy that I talk about and that I get examples of all the time. Anyways, so I wanted to do a good focus here and try to, I don't know. It's funny when I sit there and I think about it and I'm driving around or I'm just looking at other things and I come up with so many good ideas and I think I'm just going to wing it, not write anything down. And then once I start to try to wing it, then my mind kind of gets overflowed with, I think, looking into a lot of the details that I've researched in the last 3.5 years, and I wonder, where do I start hitting them with? What do I start telling them that, I have 1, 2, 3 in particular guys that come around and do a high amount of bad mouthing every month for 3+ years, and I've been trying to get people to understand that there are different men. Peter Jordan, that Canadian guy back east there, Jordan Peterson, the so-called intellect guy. He doesn't feel a warrior on his crest here at all. He does not feel a warrior. He feels whatever he feels, and he feels informative, and he feels intelligent, and he's always talking about his high IQ and stuff like that, so good for him. And good for me to say, I'm a warrior. I'm different than him. If you grew up with me, and you played on the field with me in life, a lot of my buddies, old buddies that I grew up with me, and my brothers and stuff, could highly relate that, yeah, warrior is where Ian's at. He's not an intellect. So, so my field work, and when I look and I see what's going on in these mountains and stuff. Hey, pal.
Hey, man, I always see you at the library, right?
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't remember me, maybe. But, so I know you've been out there for a long time, man.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
How's it going in there?
Yeah, it goes great. I do a research project and so on and so forth, so I keep my mind really tied down and stuff, and I've got 4 kids in town here, like adult kids now, but so I really have a life.
Yeah, and then you probably got some money coming in, and that's not going out to rent, so you can afford what you need, right?
This is my choice instead of having rent.
And so let me ask you something about this vehicle.
Sure.
I know you probably got it running pretty good, right? Are you looking for anything bigger?
I will when I know I can afford it.
Yeah. What can you afford?
Nothing. Yeah.
Oh, because I have a really nice 1978 van that's brand new tires, brand new hoses, brand new belts, brand new battery, brand new exhaust, brand new brakes. I've just been putting it over the years.
Fair enough. What make is that?
That's a Dodge Sportsman.
Oh, I love the Dodges.
Zero rust.
Do you have the slant 6 in there? Or the 318?
It's a 318.
Okay.
And it's got the extended roof cap.
Oh, nice.
It used to be a camper.
Yeah.
It's got all the plumbing and all the propane still there, but the stove and fridge are cut out.
Yeah, I get you.
Which is not really bad. You can always.
I've survived without a stove in here. What are you looking for that one?
I'd like to get $1,000. It's
Yeah.
low end. Really, I got $2,000 into it.
Right.
Right. You know, a set of tires for the thing, 800.
Yeah, I hear where you're going exactly.
Exhaust 500-600.
Yeah.
But I want to get rid of it because I got a whole bunch of vehicles.
Well,
Just trying to farm them out and get some cash to trade this in and get a better one for myself. I don't need the Dodge van because I have a motorhome and I have a big extended Chevy or GMC.
right.
35. So I know what but it's a carbon.
Okay.
But yeah. So
Do you have your number? You could write it down handy, and I could give you a jingle.
But I can't go anywhere with that.
And I hear you.
I'm going to ask 18, but I'd be willing to maybe, if you're not going to use this, maybe we can do a deal.
Right, okay. Well, that's exactly it. I mean, you saying your amount doesn't even say that I can come knocking on your door, and for sure. But to look at an idea always adjusts a person a little bit different, and sometimes all of that sudden that flow of energy is, what? The government thinks they owe me $1,000? Okay.
And what was I going to ask you? I was going to ask you something. Is it cold in your car at night?
No.
Because you climatize.
I'm very acclimatized. Yeah, like you might see, I wear shorts a lot and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, sandals all the time.
Do you know who? Do you have the internet on your phone and stuff?
Yes, I do.
Do you know who Wim Hof is?
Wim Hof. No, I don't.
Okay, there's one for you to
check out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, don't just look at him and go.
Yeah.
You know, he's a serious guy. Check out his history, like who he is first.
Okay.
And then check him out.
I hear you. I know how to do that. I'm pretty open.
To do in your car.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just exercise.
Fair enough.
All right.
Thank you very much. Have a good one, eh?
You too, man.
Take care. Alrighty, guys. We had a little bit of a interaction there. So where was I way back? We are. Let's see where my family is at here. Everything's running. Hey, Bill, how's it going? Right on, Bill. So let me throw some other stuff out there then. Just popped into my head. You know how hello everyone, hi Missy, Patrick, you know how we, other than the Egyptian people that were mummified, other than that, my understanding there's no bones around of any humans, so on and so forth. And you go to, there's a claim of over 700,000 structures like a pyramid, but not to the vastness of a pyramid. In certain cases, maybe they get to be as small as a car like this, and they count into the 700,000 plus. Creations like this, rock creations, I think probably most of them will be. Some of them they might be trying to say they're petrified wood and so on and so forth, but there's all understanding there. And in those places, there's always one Pikachu. I always want to say Pikachu, but it's down in Peru, yeah, and it's called something like that. And the reason why I like to bring up that one is because on YouTube, I've gone on some of these historians' surveys of that location. And when I'm looking at the rock detail and the rock performance of how they're suspecting it to be of cut back in the day, I'm also seeing right now the traditional styles of cuts that are happening on those same rocks. But with nowadays scoring marks, as opposed to yesterday's scoring marks. And I understand scoring marks, and I've been studying it for 3.5 years, and I've been talking about it starting with bark scoring marks. In very peculiar places I've been to our capital over in Victoria, British Columbia, up at our Capitol building, showing you guys the scoring marks on that building that is made out of stone, big stone, carved stone, humanly carved stone. And these guys are working on it. I show you it on asphalt detail. If we looked, what's that X all about? Oh. It's gonna, I see I can use my details down here. They're just in a different spot. Let me do this. Oh yeah, right there. So you guys see right there on the road. Where do you really think the paint lines are? When you look at that asphalt, some people will be saying, oh wow, you guys use a hard concentration of salt this year, eh? And then when you look at those oily patches, remember back in the day when you were a kid and you would walk on those oily patches and you would kick out the oiled up, broken down looking rock that would be in those oil patches? Do you remember ever doing that stuff? I do. Well, they don't ever get left behind anymore because oil does help with this tar-based asphalt that we already cover the earth in, and it has oil products, tar products in it, and it bakes our earth. And we complain about heat issues, and we never once bring up, well, let's stop doing asphalt. Let's come up with a different system. Why not just hard, super compact earth all the time? And we just have machine guys that hit it every week and do a compacting on it. And it would still probably be a less of a cost than what we go through for this asphalt. And the repair system of the asphalt is getting horrendous. And it's all just part of the... It's part of the same breakdown process in some ways that I'm talking about those rocks over there. Those pyramids and so on and so forth. I personally haven't looked close up at the actual pyramids, and yes, they hang out right there, right all around here, and they'll be watching us now, guys. 100%. I don't have a problem saying that. You don't believe me? Come sit beside me. A lot of people believe it. Sorry. Just trying to get us on a good picture, and then I'm going to leave it. One more shift. One more? There we go. So, what else may I want to tell you? So I reflected some stuff from really old ago, and then some stuff on those tombs there down in Pikachu where you can go look at them and see, and you'll be able to see maybe fresh, when you're watching other people's shows, you can see fresh breaking away as opposed to old carved stone and stuff. Maybe you can start to understand different sweeping patterns of cuttings. Like if you can bring in the shape of claw, if you can bring in that if they do different degree angles within their own claw. Okay, this is where I think I'm going to be going here pretty soon, guys. And this is going to put my freedom at jeopardy. Okay, because I'm going to start... maybe on some level hassling what we call here in Canada the RCMP. In some cities we have private police still, like over in Abbotsford, private police, down in Vancouver, private police, but we have RCMP that covers all of Canada. So they're fully connected however they are, which isn't a perfect system, but they are. And so if I started going around and hassling those guys and just telling them real factual stuff, like, here's one that's just, it could alarm people. And they could say, how come he's talking on this subject or whatever. We could be that naive. But I'm going to tell you a subject that's happening pretty much all over the world. Okay? I've been doing some looking into the news a lot here, different things that have gone on. And I'm going to say for in the last 10 years, we've had a cat murdering spree up in Kelowna, down in Vancouver, out in Maple Ridge, out in Langley. I think one came up for Vernon, out in Toronto, and then I'm sure a lot of other cities. Those are just some of the ones that I've touched on. Okay, and there's going to be a connection here, guys, so hang on. Now, you take that murder spree here, and our police, our RCMP, talk about it, that the murders are being these mutilation murders, okay? Where the cats sometimes are in their house cats, whether they're an outdoor, an indoor, a half indoor, outdoor, they're house cats. And they are, get myself a bit of beverage going here. The house cats are, oh yeah, they're being savagely murdered. Over in Washington, which is the state that is right next to us, it's the state where we have one death for one of that new type C or whatever you want to call it, that flu that's come out of Asia, come out of China or something, and is up here in the United States and somewhat in Canada. Well, an American lady just died, the president said 1 or 2 nights ago here in Washington, just to kind of put you on the map. Well, over in that same state, they have a detachment of police, like a squadron or whatever you call them, that are working on the cat mutilation murders that are going on in Washington. And if you go throughout the Americas, you end up finding out there's a lot of locations of the cat murder mutilations. If I didn't get this quite out, at one point I was going to throw out there that these cats come up dry of blood, no blood. Not dry of blood, I'm not going to say that, but not a blood mess. Bled out, maybe. I don't know all the details, but I'm going to throw a detail that is never talked about, okay? And I believe this is the detail that helps implement me to at least know a deeper piece of information that they're either keeping from us, or maybe they realize they have said it somewhere out there. And I'm just repeating that in particular piece of information. But first, I'm going to point out that this was first bigger going on where the media picked up on it and such in the UK, somewhere in England, somewhere in some city there. Their count is over 500 cats that are victim to the same style of spree of killing for many years now. I don't know how many, I would say 10 years or so they've been doing their count only. Remembering in lots of countries where we don't, our cat doesn't come home, we don't worry about it, we don't even necessarily go looking for it, so on and so forth. A lot of these ones that are happening in the UK, the cat is just left out on the road, or the cat is put up on their fence post or on their doorstep or in the corner of their back deck. Another detail that is happening that I know it's happening in the Washington area, and I know it's happening in the UK, and I'm going to just kind of guess that it might be the left leg, but I don't know that for sure. In the front section of one of the legs, the forearm is gone. You know how we kind of got 2 bones in there, I think? Just like our bottom calf part of our leg got 2 major bones for the working mechanism in there, I think. Well, I think a cat's kind of similar like that by the looks of things. I haven't actually looked at a skeleton drawing or anything of a cat, which is making me think to do now. But anyways, well, they'll actually amputate just those bones, leaving all the fur there, the full connecting forearm or the fur going through to where the paw is, and that's left behind the hand. Let's just say the paw hand is left behind. They cut through, and I imagine they cut through cartilage and maybe even cut through the bone at times. And then also at the elbow, they do the same thing, because that's how we can do a quick, easy separation if we just snip through the cartilage there, or we just do a nice, strong snap. We can break at those points easily, where there's just a bit of tendon and all those fibers that work all the mechanics of your arm are coming out of, and that's the easiest way. Slit at the paw, and you can pull those bones out of there. It happens quite often. And on Vice, if you go and watch a Vice, about a year-old Vice show, if you see my comment on there, comment, say hi or something. But anyways, go on there, and they talk about this one in particular detail on that show where they go to these old people's house that are really sad. Their cat was just murdered. And Vice is over there for the reason of making this show, I understood. Anyways, same thing, the bones missing out of the cat and stuff. Vice is off driving around the next day or the couple of days later or whatever, and the couple phone them up, and they go back there, and 2 bones were left back where Vice had did their little examination of where the cat was left, whether they thought the cat was murdered there, brought and just dropped there again, because there's lots of speculation that the cat is taken away, then returned there, some cases days later, some, like in this case, it seems like it might have been almost the same day or something, that the cat was just out and then they found her out there or something. Anyway, so when they came back, a set of bones were left behind. The veterinarian, just by a visual, said by size and stuff, it looked like it could have been from that cat. But in many cases, those bones that are left are bleached. And we always just use that word bleached. If we took some bones and we stuck them in a container with bleach, they will actually draw all that stuff out of the bone, and it will go very white bleached bone. And in many cases, I bet you a lot of the human cadavers or whatever we call them out there, when we find those bodies out there of humans, I bet you some of them have some bleached parts of their bones that are confused kind of investigators are going, okay, well, maybe the sun was always being able to shine through this little spot here because there was some branches here before or something. I don't know. Like this, and they come to some kind of conclusion. But they never can use the conclusion yet of there's a being out there that I've been talking about that has an ability to do heat, to do fire, where I was suspecting this heat fire source was from the being, not even from him striking 2 sticks together. Okay, just go with it. All the way to the point of where I know they have this glowing light energy. 100% swear that, if they said you're going to jail, stop lying. I have to say I can't lie. I got to just say how it is, how I've learned this information. I show no signs of being a mentally active person that has a lot of issues going on. I show signs of a mentally active person who's really active in research for 3.5 years almost, where my depth of researching is beyond, those couple of ladies that did the research with the chimpanzees and the gorillas. I'm beyond those ladies. I don't do it the way those ladies do it, and how they're watching those type of ape-like beings in amongst their landscape there. And when I look at that landscape now, and I see how luscious it is, and so on and so forth, and all that chaotic, unbelievable growth. I see it's just the implement the imply the type of farming techniques that these beings that we're searching out implement all over the world. Just because those gorillas are going up there and they're breaking out, you see how they rip just that stuff apart. When they rip it apart, they got no mentality of a farming technique in their mind at all. These guys are much different than that. So just realize that's one huge difference. Is there going to be guys that look like them and some that look like human and stuff? You get all kinds of stuff that people say out there. So I'm not going to try to convince us one way or another on looks. Although when I go into looks and stuff, I can bring up chimpanzees and gorillas and stuff very easily, because I can see relation and look very much in there. But we look at a gorilla and they got nothing more special than just what we see. You know, there's special personalities. How many of those great big males that could rip apart, they might be able to beat a lion in a fight. If they can get their two hands on his jaws, they might be able to take a lion. They might be able to take on certain size of crocs. So we got to remember what a gorilla really is. And we never see them rip apart one of these men that are getting kind of close to their family and stuff, and the big silverback comes out there and he comes huffing and puffing and he does his scare, and he never touches anybody that I've ever seen and stuff. You know, sometimes we're just talking stories here too, guys, because all of this is when you're out there and you're looking at these beings, you can sit there and compare them to you in ways and try to get understanding out of them through just thinking about the human knowledge that you have. You start studying a little bit on the chimpanzees and the gorillas, you have a little bit more, because then you really get to see them eating that vegetation. Get to see them how they're really getting along so easily in the forest, but they're breaking things. Why do these guys get along so easily in the forest? They're not breaking things unless they choose to break things. That's one of the skills of these guys out here. And so now I want to go back to the cat stuff, if you're still here. So that's what a lot of people don't realize, is you got to stick around if you want to hear what I have to say going on. Sorry that it works this way, but it's just the way it's working until I get people sitting in front of me that are really well at, focus in our question. Okay, Ian, answer us this one. Okay, that's good enough. We get it now. Answer us this one. Then we can do the real good detail stuff, and we'll just go through my brain and pull up whatever we can pull up. But I was going to say about the cat stuff there. You guys remember, if you haven't done this recently, go onto my channel, go onto my community page and flow through it all the way to the very first picture, I think it is. The very first picture is a wicked being's face, man. Just like unbelievable looking face. And I don't know how many views, because it doesn't say how many views I've gotten on it, but I've only gotten 20 something thumbs up. And if you don't see them, I don't understand how a person can't see them, but stuff fades in, or your camera's a lousy picture or something like that, your TV. Anyways, go through the community section there. And when you do, you're going to come to a couple of pieces of wood. A couple that are just in a row there. Maybe more down below, but a couple that are just in a row. And you're going to see this really cool curvature. In one of the pictures is two pieces of wood together. And you're going to see that there's the splitting character in the wood. I think we get to see bark on the wood still. So it's the out, near the outside. I think on one of them, if you look at it closely, you get to see some inner part of the grain of the tree. Like you get to tell that that's maybe from the center or something. And you also get to see an unbelievable sharp curve, really sharp curve. And it almost looks, think to yourself, ask your husband if you don't know, or ask your wife if you don't know, or punch it into Google, a coping saw. And what you're going to see is you're going to see this little handsaw, just a handsaw coping saw. So you're going to see this little handsaw that's kind of shaped like a big U. That's, let's say it's an 8-inch big U. And then it's got this little wire kind of blade. There's different kinds of blades, but let's just say you have just the wire blade. So it's just a round blade where it's got cutting all the way, ability all the way around it. And it's strung that 8 inches. So now that 8 inches has a really deep throat on it, on this in particular coping saw. And you can now go and do that fancy kind of cutting that you have for baseboards in your house, or if you have fancy crown molding up in the ceiling there. That's what a coping saw was generally, where it really makes a statement what it's about. It's for doing really fancy character cutting like that. And when you're looking at that piece of wood that's, let's say it's a 1/2 inch thick, and you realize the degree of that cut, and that piece of wood was way out in the forest, way out far from where anybody's going to be using any fancy kind of tools or anything. And you can 100% tell that it's not done by chainsaw. You know, those are part of what these guys can do. When you look at the other one, it looks almost like swales of waves. When you look at the other image of the other one I'm showing you in those couple of pictures. Understand that the police, as far as I have been able to tell, in the UK or here in Canada, have not talked about a curvature cut. In the surgical tools, they called them in the UK. Here in Canada, they referred them to as tools that they're butchering these cats with. And they think this person is very high skilled, like a surgeon. And then they think there's multiple people in the States doing it, or I mean in the UK doing it. But here in the North America, maybe they think it's just one guy traveling around in his little green car on some other kind of a story like Bigfoot or something. And he's actually a cat murderer. Yeah, I'm implementing myself almost there. Anyways, so yeah. Those curves are going to be in those cats. It's going to be on the cartilage. It's going to be on the bone, 99.9% sure. Somewhere they've slipped up, or they've done it on purpose, because they like to do things on purpose for information gathering. But a detail like this onto a bone, actually put that curvature into the bone, I don't know. But I believe they can. I totally believe that they have in the cartilage. So if you want to, phone Crime Stoppers and just ask Crime Stoppers, say, hi, my name's Lisa. Tell them all your legit stuff. Tell them I only want to tell you so much information, but I just want to ask you this question. Is there any details about those cat murders that are happening, and pick your place, pick your stories in your local city or whatever, and phone them up and say, is there any curvature in the cutting techniques? And it's going to start to fly around out there that people are becoming aware of the curvature and so on and so forth. It's going to take us somewhere. Ending note, I have done a Facebook page here that I'm just starting up. It's called, and so all the details aren't going to be correct and stuff. Just let me know stuff. I don't know anything about Facebook, so I'm just trying to figure it out. Anyways, it's called, what did I call it? Armstrong FB Tracker. I think that's what I called it. Armstrong or EB, I mean, Earth Beings tracker. So do what you do. Try to get your knowledge. Some of you are gonna go, why didn't you go this way the whole way time, Ian? I wasn't really listening to you, man. I was just wanting to watch. Do pause and play, you guys, when you notice that I move too much. I'll do the slip and slide. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for watching. Looks like the one person hung out the whole time suspecting. Cheers to all.